Welcome everybody, it's Unstoppable Stelezzi with an Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition casted game for you now. It's been a while since we've seen HVNY playing these wonderful deathmatch games, so yeah, it was quite a treat to see that he gave me about 4 recordings of this stuff. I'm going to be going over the first one now with you. So, before we get started, we need to check out the map real quick and see how it's going to affect the match. So on this particular map, you got some interesting geographical features you have to acknowledge. So obviously you got 2 rivers that go through this map, pretty much like a big giant T, pretty much. And you can only cross through these sort of fords in the river here where you see the lily pads, the grass sticking out, these more blue areas. This is all water, you know, the only way you can cross that is with the boat. So some nice choke points in the deathmatch to basically utilize your artillery better, as well as grouping up your melee units. So let's get started right now and see what happens here, alright? So from the looks of it, we got a Germany versus Germany mirror here. So same civ, so you're going to have the same potential units, the same potential cards. So yeah, let's see what they end up pulling off here. So this is the HVNY Germany, and then the red one would be Stowe. So you notice there's a church here at the start, right? Basically, the reason why you build a church right away in a deathmatch is because you can research the technology mercantilism to actually give yourself a nice 4 to 5 shipments. And as you can see, it's one after another, and you ideally want to focus on ones related to unit training first. So ones like riding school, fencing school, and also some basic unit upgrades too, like your cavalry hit points as well as your cavalry combat, right? In particular with HVNI, you got a card here called Palatine Settlements. This one essentially just makes it so your houses can provide more population space. Now in the regular supremacy, it's often pretty good as a defensive measure, but in the case of deathmatch, it's going to be good because it essentially reduces the amount of houses you have to focus on building up early, so you can focus on your barracks, stables, and foundries, since that's going to be the bread and butter of your initial defense, right? Because you can see right here they're already starting to battle each other. And once those initial 20k or so resources are used up, then these players have to start thinking about their economy and start building that onto the side. Yeah, as you know, in regular supremacy games, it's all about basically build your economy first and then build an army. In deathmatch, it's totally the opposite. You build your army first and then you develop your economy on the side while you're doing the battling. So from what we see right here, we got mixtures of Uhlans and War Wagons. War Wagons are a good start in deathmatch because they are very fast. They do a lot of damage. Whopping 71 damage you can see here on Stowe's. Then HVNIs are 65 right now damage based on the cards that they're researching. And also they have a lot of HP. They also got some hand armor too, so if you tried to charge them with like hand cav, they can hold the line pretty well against that. So yeah, one other interesting tool we see here from Stowe is the mixing of horse artillery underneath the War Wagons. This is a really smart idea because, as you know, the hitboxes on these War Wagons are pretty big, so when you're trying to right-click and target stuff with culverins, you're more likely to miss the target because you might end up accidentally hitting a War Wagon instead of the cannon you're trying to get. So it can be a nifty little tactic too. So Stowe also sent a really important card here, the Polish Winged Hussars. It's a really powerful card in supremacy play, but it's definitely good in a deathmatch situation too, because it gives you a nice set of guard upgraded Winged Hussar natives that you can charge right in the battle with. Yeah, to do a lot of damage pretty much. Looks like HVNI is starting to develop his artillery with horse arty and culverins. Also a big mix of skirmishers too. Basically, if you didn't notice, in most death matches, they do it in the post-industrial age. So all their sort of technologies are technically researched. And yeah, they can go right into essentially attacking with War Wagons, Skirms, Doppels, Ulans, whatever they want, basically. And obviously sending all their Age 4 cards like their factories and so forth, yeah. Speaking of which, we do see the heavy cannons starting to pop out for Germany right now. Over there, so... Yep, basically they shipped the 2 heavy cannon card, yeah. It's pretty normal in a deathmatch to see very powerful artillery cards at Age 4, because as I said, the battle starts right away in the deathmatch, so one way you can get a leg up on your opponent in the initial battle is ship in 2 heavy cannons, 4 falconets, 4 culverins. Yeah, that can be a really nice way to get the battle going. And of course, since it's free units through the cards, that's less stuff you have to spend in wood and coin, basically. So it's more coin than you can put into infantry or cavalry or even more cannons a bit later, you know. It makes your economy a little less urgent for you. So yeah, right now we see the battle is mostly for this segment of land here. A critical thing to do in the deathmatch is to put up outposts in the area you're attacking, because obviously these outposts are going to deal some good crush damage with splash, which is going to basically damage your enemy when they try to resist, right? And it forces them either back, or it forces them to fight in a spot where they're going to be taking extra damage while they're trying to battle, giving you the advantage and making it more likely they're going to burn through their resources faster. That's one of the things we see in deathmatch. We notice that one of the win conditions that we might be looking for is actually for somebody to burn out their resources, right? Basically, so much fighting, so many losses and retraining that they just lose on the spot, basically, right? Because they can't train stuff at the rate that they did initially when they had the 20k star and resources in their back pocket. Right now, we see HVNY sort of taking a defensive posture because he is taking heat from the north and the south, right? We see some of these Lipka Tatar Cav Archers, Shock Riders, and Ulans up here. Since this map does have the House of the Jagiellon on it, which has the Tatars and the Shock Riders. And then out here we have this big army of pikes, skirms, and war wagons, and already developing too. Those pikemen in particular can be pretty scary, you know. Mainly because they can siege buildings down very fast, and if you're in a deathmatch situation, that's a good way to burn through all your wood pretty quickly, you know, to the point that you might not be able to get artillery. It might delay you getting a mill or an estate, hurting your other economy parts a lot. So yeah, a lot of moving parts in a deathmatch, you know. It's not strange to see somebody lose within the first minute or two if they really don't know what they're doing, right, or they're not able to click fast. So yeah, the fact that it's gone to sort of this like slow state where they're planning their attacks and stuff is actually pretty remarkable on both sides of the battlefield, right? Shows that they really know what they're doing and they can make measured responses to basically not get into too much trouble tactically. We're going to see some culverin wars, it looks like. Whoever snipes whose culverins first is probably going to have a good dominance on the battlefield, and they'll basically be able to deny their opponent the ability to make more artillery without it getting instantly eliminated, so we'll see what ends up coming of that. Looks like Saxon Corsairs coming in from this Germany here. Looks like they were shipped from the home city, yep. I've noticed with HVNY's deck, he loves to ship this card in since it gives you a pretty nice stack of the Saxon Corsairs to throw at your opponent. Best thing of them, obviously, similar to the French version of the unit, is they have splash attack, so they damage multiple units at the same time and within a close proximity while they're slashing their cavalry saber, which is quite good. So it looks like the War Wagons are building a nice wall of damage here for HVNY, and he is crunching through the lower HP of the skirmishers. But here comes the German sword mercenaries here. These are quite powerful since they deal heavy multipliers against cavalry. And they also have an initial charge attack as well that does a bit of splash, so definitely not something you want to run into, basically. No, not at all. veteran Saxon cuirassiers in there, eating up the skirms very quickly. All that's left is a few war wagons there. Now, Don Stowe has to retreat. How's he doing on resources? GG Re. So, notice how the food is down and how the coin is down, right? And how many vills was he on? So, if you look at this, he was on 7 settler wagons and on about 14 settlers. So, if you do the math, you could technically multiply this by 2, since a settler wagon is worth 2 villagers, to make it a total of about 28 villagers. And how about HVNY? How many did he have going on? So he had settlers, 33. Alright, looking pretty good. And settler wagons, 11. So that's 22. So I had about 53 or so vills. Much better. Now, one thing to consider with Germany, you got to make sure that you get your Germantown farmers out right away to make sure that you can actually keep that economy growing while in the deathmatch, because what that card does, it allows you to train the settler wagons from the mills. So you can ramp up pretty quickly while you have that surplus food and wood from the initial deathmatch resources to essentially pop out 20 vills worth of economy from that. Then all you have to do at that point is just, well, actually, wait a minute, no, what's it's about 20 settler wagons, right? So technically it's almost the value of 40 villagers, and then you just have to come up with like 59 or so settlers to get a standard vill eco. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And even in some situations where you need a little bit more, you can even add even more settlers in too, though it's not recommended, you know what I mean? What you find a lot of times in these deathmatch situations is somebody will basically find out that they don't have enough units, and they actually have to start deleting their economy to make way for more population. And then sometimes it's vice versa. They can get a big army, but they can't maintain it, so they actually have to add the vills in to make sure that they can keep maintaining army. And yeah, basically, like resource-wise, obviously, with the timing of HVNI's Germantown farmers, he was able to get the bigger vill count and thus stay in the battle longer, right? In terms of battle performance, it looks like HVNI also actually did better as well. Yeah. His usage of his artillery with his war wagons and skirms came in real handy there. Yep. And also, the Wedden cuirassiers were a very nice addition as well. You know, you might have thought that the German mercenary swordsmen would have been great against the cuirassiers because they're cav and the swordsmen are great against them, but no, it all depends on timing of when you use the cards, really. So, yeah, good battle overall. Definitely enjoyed it. So, if you enjoyed watching Deathmatch, definitely look forward to the other 3 recordings that we got, and I will cast those at a future date. Definitely enjoy this one for now, and look back if you want to get some tips on how to play deathmatch for yourself. Yeah, it's very exuberating, it's very exciting, you know, it takes a lot of energy to do. It's not for the faint of heart, I would say. So if you want to be rushing with your hotkey fingers at the start of the game, then definitely deathmatch is your friend. Anyways, GG to both players, great job, and we'll see you in the next recording that was posted. Yep.